So Voodoo is now the gaming company that drives the largest number of downloads every day on the App Store. As we speak, we are on track to reach more than 1 billion downloads only this year in 2018. But this is also thanks to the 500 studios we support and have under our wing. And yes, Dale, very often, people ask us if there is a secret. And you may have come here today to find it out. But I will tell you right away, there is no secret. There is only a mindset and a way of working. But this mindset didn't come overnight. It's built on our experience and the learning from our failures. At the beginning, we were a small team of game creators, driven exclusively by passion, by emotion, and pure creativity. And after 5 years of hard work, intense work, all we had to show was 2 games performing poorly and with a very narrow reach. And we came close to death several times because of that behavior. But everything changed 1.5 years ago. Did you know that from the 30,000 games that were released on the App Store for the last 12 months, only 22 of them reached more than 5 million downloads in the US? And I'm sure you know any one of them. And among those 22 games, Voodoo has published nearly half of them. Exactly 9. But this success is not due to luck. It is thanks to the process we have put in place and our mindset. And we wanted to share that mindset to every creative people and talented people in the world so they don't waste as much time as we did trying to create successful games. So our mission right now is to help every studio in the world to reach their full potential. So when a studio comes to us for help, we really ask them to hold on the emotional drive and passion they have, but at the same time, we ask them to add a very important ingredient.
And that very important ingredient is our data-driven process. So this is how we figured that out. When we were making Paper.io, our first game, our first successful game, we definitely didn't lack passion. But after 4 years of turmoil, we felt that we had to change our ways. So what we did is we released it on the store, and we tested it immediately. We didn't spend months polishing it. And with the data we gathered, we were able to improve our game. And it's because of this that Paper.io became our first hit. So it was really an awakening moment for us, because we had understood that we had to put our creativity on the board and then test it and validate it with data. And so now when studios come to us and ask us for our support, we tell them, keep your passion, keep your creativity, and combine it with our data-driven process. And this is what's going to get you closer to making a successful game. So our successful relationships with our studios is really founded on 3 pillars. The first pillar is coaching. To put it simply, what we do is that we take a studio who contacts us and we match them with a publishing manager. That publishing manager is a coach. He gives them feedback constantly during weekly calls on what to improve on their game and when to test it. Our publishing managers have thousands of hours of experience coaching studios and have tested hundreds of games for months on end. So they really know which traps to avoid and which features to add to make a successful game. The second pillar of our successful relationships with our studios is our open source knowledge policy. It comes down to us gathering knowledge from all the tests we do and giving it freely and equally to all the studios we work with. So this really allows our studios to move faster and build better quality games. Now, the third and last pillar of our success is founded on our user acquisition and monetization team. I'm very proud to say that we do have one of the best teams in the world right now. And to give you an example of their work, I'd like to cite Snake vs. Blocks. This game was launched 1 year ago, and still today, it's in the top 10 charts in the US. So quite an accomplishment. Now, it's quite important to say when we talk about these pillars that there's just really one important thing that you have to understand about us, is that we don't really bet on games. Instead, we think about it in terms of teams. So I'd like to give you some true stories of teams that worked with us and things that we've learned working with them. Meet Anthony. Anthony, after a career change, wanted to make games. And to do so, he contacted Hugo, his coach. So Anthony came to us with his very first game, and it was a disaster. But he was very motivated, and he talked with Hugo during weekly calls, and Hugo motivated him to persevere. And so he sent us a second game, and it was a disaster. So this continued 25 times, and they tested until he released Splashy, downloaded more than 20 million times worldwide. So with Anthony, we really understood that the studios that succeed are the ones that persevere. He now makes games full-time, and he continues to fail a lot, but he's more motivated than ever. The second story I want to tell you about is that of Paul. So Paul was a French engineering student, and he had no prior experience making games, but he had a passion for it. And to do so, he contacted us. And he was matched with Hugo, his publishing manager. Together, they benchmarked the market because he was fascinated by the App Store. So they would call each other and spend hours just talking about the market. And at that point, we were doing an in-house hackathon at Voodoo. So Hugo proposed that he participate remotely. And he challenged them to release a game in only 48 hours. So what Paul did is he spent a few hours coding the game, and then 2 sleepless nights tweaking and balancing the controls. So the result of this, you guessed it, was Flappy Dunk, downloaded more than 50 million times worldwide. Now, Paul now makes games full-time, and he's very happy of it. But the real story and the real lesson we understood with Paul was that even outsiders can make games. And those games can be successful. Now, the last and third story I wanted to tell you about is that of Oleg and Oleg from Ukraine. So these guys are really great guys, and they're the total opposite from Paul. I mean, these guys had stellar coding skills. They made very, very, very beautiful designs, but they just weren't making the right games. They weren't focusing on what was really important, and that's the core gameplay mechanic. So the first game they submitted to us was this game called Fire Rides. It was beautiful, it was stunning, but it wasn't a success. So their publishing manager and coach, Thomas, told them that they had to raise the bar. They shouldn't spend time focusing on a minor success, instead of really dream about that big blockbuster. So together, they created a few games and they tested them. And they finally released, 3 months later, Helix Jump. Downloaded more than 100 million times in the first 3 months of its launch. That's something we really haven't seen before. So we're really proud of these guys. And they've now become full-time, true game entrepreneurs, now doubled their team, still making games with us. So the real lesson we really applied here was really to think and to dream big. So now, we really thought deeply of what our mission was, and that's to help studios reach their full potential. We thought how we can help the ecosystem a bit more. And we thought about a solution which would have the greatest reach as possible. And we came up with a solution, and that is an online platform that we call the Voodoo Hub. So this Voodoo Hub is going to be available for all game developers that work with us, and it's going to have the full extent of our knowledge that we have today. It's going to have live videos for motivation. It's going to have live tutorials to improve the metrics in their game. It's going to have feature specifications so that developers know what features they have to put in to increase their retention, for example. And it's going to have a lot more stuff. What we really wanted to do with this Voodoo Hub was to put all this information that we've gathered this last year and really give it to all developers at the click of a button.
So the reason of our success, as you've seen, is not a particular secret. In fact, having a secret goes strongly against all the values of Voodoo. It's only this mindset, which is as simple as connecting your emotion and your passion with a scientific behavior and persevering in your testing, so you are more connected to the reality and also more able to create games that will be played by millions of users. And we believe all this knowledge has to be shared. So we, as a company, are going to give you every learnings we gathered from the 1,000 games that came to us and the hundreds of features we have tested before. But if there is one thing we stand by, is really to dream big. Because wherever you come from, or whatever are your skills, everything is possible if you have the right mindset and with the right people. So thank you very much. This presentation is over. And we are very happy now to answer every question you may have. So I think we have 10 minutes left. Right, Dale? Something like this? OK, perfect.
Thanks.
How do you want to operate? Thank you very much. So we don't communicate on the amount. I know there is an amount in the press, but we don't share this amount, and we didn't communicate it to nobody. But what I can tell you is that the partnership with Goldman Sachs will help us to continue our very quick growth, hyper growth, to also extend our company more broadly, more in Europe and also in the US, and mostly build a more technological company and hire tech people to really continue the project we have started already.
So you sort of told us a high-level overview of how you use data. Could you give us a bit more specific examples of, say, how you implemented a feature in one of the games based on the data you gathered?
Yeah, sure. So what we really do is a lot of A/B testing. And so the first thing we have to do is kind of imagine or benchmark a feature. I can give you the example of a game that I cited, Splashy. So the idea was, so I'm not sure if you played the game, but it's you bounce on platforms, right? But after a while, once you've bounced on 200 platforms, it gets a bit boring. So what we wanted to do was make the experience a bit different once you get further into the game, and also integrate it into the player kind of getting currency and then upgrading his world, right, he's in. So what we tested is this type of, we call it like a world level up. And you gain currency, you use it to buy a palm tree, which appears, in 100 yards or whatever. And so the first thing you have to do is really imagine a feature. It implies a lot of creativity. And secondly, A/B test it into your game with a control group and the A group, and just check the key metrics, so retention mostly.
Bonjour, monsieur. Merci beaucoup pour l'exposé. I want to know if you could share more information about the user acquisition and monetization part about your successful game. Thank you.
What do you want to know exactly?
I mean, if you could share more information about how you do the user acquisition and monetization for your game. Thank you.
Sure. So again, here we do very standard work, but we try to do it in the most effective way. So we have a team of around 30 people, which are creating campaigns on every network that you know, and every network that I think you can meet here. And we test also a lot of creatives, video creatives. And it's also a very data-driven process because we try a lot of different stuff, a lot of different segmentation, a lot of different creatives, and we try to understand what element make it perform or not. And we gather that knowledge, so every new creative has included inside every information we gather. So it becomes more and more effective. So it's just, again, A/B testing, generating a lot of different videos, creating a lot of different campaigns, trying and trying and trying and failing and learning and then success.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. I think everybody's very excited to meet you and hear the keynote. I wanted to kind of also push you a little bit on the key metrics that you might look at. Is there specific key metrics when you're looking at a game, to make sure it's publishing worthy or not, and whether you decide to spend more time on that game, whether it be the retention metrics, the CPIs, etc. Can you tell us more about that?
Of course, I'll let Gabriel.
Yeah, sure. So we do look at the metrics you mentioned. We also look at, for example, average session length and stuff like that. But there's no real secret to it. It's something that everyone knows, and we just look at the key metrics and make a decision on that. The only thing we do is that we have quite a high standard. But it comes down to that, yeah. Quite simple.
So when it comes to the hub that you just presented, I'm wondering, how do you actually share all the experiences? That, for example, do you present a video for a given feature and then the outcome, or is it kind of a case-based sharing? I'm just curious how this works.
So we share the content for now in 3 ways. So the first way is doing live videos that we do on YouTube that are accessible to all our studios. So during those live videos that last about 1 hour, our publishing managers go through cases of games that have succeeded, such as the last one was on Helix Jump, and the fact that the leveling was so well done. The second way we share our content is through tutorial videos. So these are done through a tool called Loom, and it's a publishing manager doing a presentation. You can see his face on the bottom left of the video, and they last about 10 minutes. An example of one of those is how to integrate a perfect in your game. And the third way we share our knowledge is doing feature specifications. So this is a Google document, and it will tell you, for example, how to create a shop with skins, and how do you do that perfectly.
So the question is if we thought about going outside of the mobile space. The answer is no, because mobile is really inside our DNA. Actually, we love mobile, and we love every product that are mass market with a large public that are on mobile. So we don't think on going out of the mobile, but we are thinking about exploring other areas from the hyper-casual gaming. So we are currently also exploring more immersive games. Thanks to the success of Baseball Boy, we understood that more games with a lot of discovering are working very well, so we are going to explore that path. And also, we are also building a lab, which is just started inside Voodoo, in which we are going to create other apps that have also a very large scale, but which are non-gaming, such as every social or media apps. This is a very starting project we are very excited about, but and we have a big ambition for this also. So this is this space that we are going to explore, but we are going to be still in the mobile area.
Yeah, great question. So we're definitely testing instant games right now. We've published 5 of our most successful titles on it. So the cool thing with instant games is that you have great scale. But we're still looking at, whether it's going to be ROI positive. So I think Facebook's doing a great job to kind of make the space as good as possible for publishers.
Hey guys, thanks for the presentation, really cool.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask about how your business model differs from a more traditional mobile developer like Zynga, where you're publishing big games that have maybe a different margin than you guys. Can you talk about that?
Sorry, the question is why we don't publish like bigger games?
No, the question is, can you talk about your business model as compared to like a more traditional mobile developer publisher?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, traditional publishers usually create bigger games in terms of time and human investment. So they bet on also bigger returns per games. And they have less games produced every year. So compared to us, what makes a difference is that we create game that needs a lower time and human investment, and we are also able. So in that way, we are also able to generate several hits per month. Right now, we are publishing around 5 hit game per month. Our business model is very simple. It's so we are acquiring users through every platforms, social platform, ad networks, and inside the games, so people see ads, and also they can buy no ads in the games. So yeah, this is the difference. And we don't rely on IP. This is also another point which makes a difference. We really focus on the gameplay, the pure gameplay.
And I have a follow-up question, and that question is about complexity. Tell us about the games that you are releasing. You tend to be fairly simple games and fairly quick to iterate on and quick to release. Do you see a trend going towards more and more complex games, or do you see what's the relationship between complexity and success?
I mean, it's funny because our games look very simple, but it's very hard to find one that works, and I think you all know that. So to give you like a big picture, when we have one hit game that we release, we had built between 20 and 30 before. And even us, with every knowledge we have, we cannot predict the success of a game when we see a prototype or a proof of concept. So I think this type of games have also a big life on the future, and more complex games, I think, are going to be are coexisting, because you need simple games to play when you have, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and you need also more complex games when you want a more immersive experience, when you have 1, 2, 3 hours and you want to play with friends. So, in the gaming ecosystem, there will be a large spectrum of gaming that would be coexisting.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to Gabriel and to Alex for this amazing presentation.
Thank you very much.